Every tub of vanilla ice cream in the UK looks basically the same. Thick, creamy, covered in pictures of cows and dripping cream on the label. I investigated 10 UK ice cream brands and found that several of the biggest names don't actually contain any real cream, any real milk, or any real vanilla. Today I'm exposing the worst offenders on UK supermarket shelves and revealing which tubs are genuinely worth your money. Here's the number to keep in your head for the whole video. In the UK, a product labelled dairy ice cream has to contain at least 5% milk fat, some actual dairy protein, and no vegetable fat. A product just labelled ice cream, with the word dairy missing, doesn't have to contain any of that. It can be made almost entirely from vegetable oil, water, and reconstituted milk powder, and it's still perfectly legal to call it ice cream. That rule changed back in 2015, and most shoppers have no idea it happened. We're going worst to best. Lower concern first, building up to the brands that genuinely disappointed, when which? A prominent UK consumer-focused organisation put these products under the microscope. Then we flip it and show you which tubs actually earn the price tag. Number 7. Tesco's own brand vanilla. Pick up a tub of Tesco vanilla ice cream and check the ingredients list before you check the price. Reconstituted skimmed milk concentrate is first, which sounds like milk but isn't fresh milk. It's milk powder mixed back with water, then sugar, then partially reconstituted buttermilk powder, then coconut oil, palm stearin and palm oil, then palm kernel oil. That's 4 separate vegetable fats stacked into one supposedly creamy dessert. When Which tested UK vanilla ice creams back in 2018, Tesco's own brand came out as one of the products with no fresh milk, no fresh cream, and no actual vanilla in it at all, just flavouring. Water is technically the main ingredient. Once you strip out the marketing, you're paying for something that looks like ice cream, scoops like ice cream, but was built in a lab to hit a price point, not to taste like cream and vanilla pods. Number 6. Asda's own brand. Same story, different supermarket. Asda's standard vanilla tub was flagged in that same Which investigation as containing none of the 3 things you'd expect from a proper vanilla ice cream. No fresh cream, no fresh milk, no real vanilla. Instead, you get the usual substitutes: dried skimmed milk powder standing in for milk, whey protein doing some of the heavy lifting, and vegetable oils providing the fat that cream should be providing. It scoops fine straight from the freezer, which sounds like a plus, but that's actually a warning sign. Real dairy ice cream, packed with milk fat, tends to freeze harder. When a tub stays soft and easy to scoop at -18 degrees, that softness is usually coming from the oil content, not from quality. Number 5. Morrison's own brand. Morrison's made the same list for the same reasons. No fresh milk, no fresh cream, no real vanilla. Just reconstituted dairy powder and a flavouring that's designed to taste like vanilla without costing what actual vanilla costs. Real vanilla pods and extract are genuinely expensive, so when a brand's competing on price, vanilla is almost always the first thing swapped out for a compound flavouring. What's frustrating here is the packaging. Nothing on the front of these tubs tells you any of this. You'd have to already know to check for the word dairy, and then flip the tub over and read every line of small print to catch it. Most people never do that in the 2 seconds it takes to grab a tub off a supermarket shelf. Number 4. Ms. Molly's, which is a brand exclusively stocked in Tesco and made to look like a proper standalone ice cream company, rather than a supermarket's own line. That branding distance is exactly the problem. It gives the tub an identity that feels separate from budget-owned label, when the ingredients tell a different story. Ms. Molly's also turned up in that Which survey among the products missing fresh milk, fresh cream and vanilla. So you've got a brand dressed up to look independent, priced slightly above basic own label, delivering the exact same formulation as the cheapest tub on the shelf underneath it. That's not really a bonus product. That's the same recipe, with a nicer label stuck on top. Number 3. Wall's Soft Scoop Vanilla. This one stings a bit more because Wall's isn't some anonymous own brand. It's the biggest name in British ice cream. Been on shelves since 1922, owned by Unilever until very recently, when the ice cream arm was spun out into its own company. Wall's Soft Scoop was the only major branded product, not supermarket own label, that also failed to contain fresh milk, fresh cream, or real vanilla in that Which testing. When journalists asked Unilever about it, the company's response was that the product contains concentrated skimmed milk, which comes from fresh cow's milk, as well as vanilla flavoring. Read that carefully. That's not a denial. That's confirming there's no fresh cream and no actual vanilla, just milk that's been processed down and a flavoring standing in for the real thing. A brand built entirely on nostalgia, on being the one everyone's nan bought, quietly running the same playbook as the cheapest own-label tub next to it. Number 2. Carte d'Or. This is where it gets properly annoying, because Carte d'Or markets itself as the premium option. Fancier packaging, French-sounding name, sat higher up the freezer aisle at a higher price point, clearly positioned as a step above basic soft scoop. And yet Carte d'Or was named specifically in the Which? Investigation as one of the brands using vegetable fats, including palm oil, alongside the cheap own-label products it's supposed to be better than. You're paying premium money for a tub using the exact same shortcut as the budget brands sitting 2 shelves below it. At least the cheap own-label tubs are honest about being cheap. Carte d'Or is charging you extra for the illusion that you're avoiding all of this. Number 1, and this isn't really one brand, it's the loophole itself. Since 2015, there's been no legal requirement in the UK for something called ice cream to contain any dairy at all. Before that year, anything labelled ice cream needed at least 5% dairy fat and 2.5% milk protein. That rule got scrapped to make room for vegan and low-fat products to use the same word without a fight over labelling. Fair enough in principle, but it opened the door for every manufacturer making a standard, fully dairy-marketed vanilla tub to also swap in vegetable oil whenever it's cheaper, and still slap the word ice cream on the front, with nothing forcing them to disclose it clearly. The only protected term left is dairy ice cream, and that phrase is often printed in a smaller font than the flavor name, tucked wherever it's least likely to catch your eye. Palm oil in particular deserves a mention here, because it's not just a cost-cutting ingredient, it's one linked to deforestation and habitat loss in Indonesia and Malaysia, where a huge share of global palm oil production happens. So you're not just getting a lower quality tub when a brand swaps cream for palm oil, you're also buying into a supply chain with a genuinely ugly environmental record, and there's nothing on the front of the pack telling you that either. If this is opening your eyes a bit, hit like before we carry on. It genuinely helps this channel get in front of more people who are about to grab a tub without checking the label. And let me know down in the comments, which tub in your freezer right now are you suddenly worried about? Now for the brands actually worth your money. Ice cream that uses real cream, real milk, and doesn't hide behind a vague ingredients list. Best option number 5, Häagen-Dazs. When Which ran their comparison, Häagen-Dazs came out with the highest dairy content of everything tested, sitting around 39% fresh cream, condensed skim milk, sugar, egg yolk, and genuine vanilla extract. That's not marketing language, that's what actually showed up in the lab results. It also came in alongside Ben & Jerry's as one of only 2 brands in that whole survey containing all 3 of the things you'd expect. Real vanilla, real cream, real milk. It's not cheap, usually sitting well above most supermarket tubs per pint, but the density tells you where the money went. Scoop it straight from the freezer, and it resists the spoon properly, because it's not been pumped full of air and vegetable oil to stretch the volume out. Best option number 4, Ben & Jerry's. Slightly odd one this. Ben & Jerry's is owned by Unilever, the exact same parent company that owns Walls, the brand that failed the fresh cream and vanilla test earlier in this list. Yet Ben & Jerry's passed. Real vanilla, real cream, real milk, all confirmed. So the same company that let Walls Soft Scoop slide by on flavoring and reconstituted skim milk kept the formulation honest on their premium American import. That tells you these shortcuts aren't happening because a company can't afford proper dairy. They're a deliberate choice made brand by brand, based on what price point that particular tub is competing at. Worth remembering next time you assume a big company treats all its brands the same way. Best option number 3, Kelly's of Cornwall. Kelly's has been making ice cream in Bodmin since 1930, and their signature clotted cream flavor genuinely delivers on that heritage. Check the ingredients, and you get Cornish whole milk, clotted cream at 10%, sugar, butter oil, dried skimmed milk, and a couple of standard stabilisers to hold the texture together. No palm oil, no coconut oil standing in for cream. There is a catch worth flagging honestly. Kelly's isn't an independent family business anymore. It was bought out back in 2008, and now sits under Frenary, a massive international ice cream conglomerate based in Yorkshire. So the Cornish farmhouse branding is doing some work here too. But unlike Carte d'Or, the ingredients underneath actually back up the story on the label, which is really the whole point of this video. Best option number 2, Mackie's of Scotland. Mackie's makes every tub on a working dairy farm in Aberdeenshire, and they run their production on their own wind and solar power, which is a genuinely unusual thing for a food manufacturer to bother with. Their classic traditional flavour lists whole milk around 60%, whipping cream around 19 to 21%, sugar and milk solids, with no palm oil, no coconut oil, nothing standing in for the dairy. It's sold across most major UK supermarkets, so this isn't some tiny farm shop exclusive you'll struggle to find. You can pick it up in Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's and Morrison's without going out of your way. For a tub that's genuinely made from fresh milk and cream on an actual farm, and still lands on normal supermarket shelves at a normal supermarket price, Mackie's is hard to beat. Best option number 1. And this is less about a single brand and more about a habit worth building. Before you put any tub in your basket, turn it over and look for one specific word: dairy. If it says dairy ice cream, by law, that tub has to contain real milk fat, real dairy protein, and it's not allowed to contain vegetable fat. If that word is missing and it just says ice cream, check the ingredients straight away for palm oil, palm kernel oil, palm stearin, or coconut oil sitting near the top of the list. Any of those this high up means vegetable fat is doing the job cream should be doing. It takes about 10 seconds once you know what you're looking for, and it's the difference between paying for actual dairy and paying for water, sugar and processed oil with a flavour compound sprayed on top. So where does that leave you standing in the ice cream aisle? Häagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's, if you want a brand you can grab off any supermarket shelf without needing to read the small print. Mackie's if you want proper dairy at a genuinely fair price. Kelly's if you're after that Cornish clotted cream flavour specifically. And if you're reaching for anything with walls, Carte d'Or, or a standard supermarket own label vanilla, flip the tub round first and actually read what's on it, because the label out front is telling you a lot less than you'd think. 2 words decide the whole thing: dairy or not dairy, and now you know exactly where to look. If this saved you from grabbing the wrong tub next time you're doing the big shop, share it with whoever in your house has been buying the same soft scoop for years without ever checking. See you in the next one.